Hello, class. I'm just checking in. We are definitely going to be doing some really heavy content stuff today. We're going to be learning about a lot of the skills that you need to be able to read a map, okay? And so it's really important that you focus through this and you work through this and work through the notes that are provided and be answering the questions as you go. This will count towards your grade for sure. So make sure you're paying attention to it. But what we start off with is that I'm going to want you to kind of do a do now. So all I want you to do is pause this video and pull out your notes, review what latitude and longitude are, because that's going to be a major part of our lesson. And then when you think you understand those two things, resume this practice lesson. I'm going to go ahead and be silent for about 5 seconds to give you a chance to pause. All right, now that you've reviewed two of the really major terms that we're going to be learning about, I want to go ahead and look at some learning objectives here, or what your learning objective is. Your learning objective, students will be able to obtain and analyze geographic information from a variety of print and electronic sources to investigate places or answer specific geographic questions. There's a whole lot going on here, right? Obtain and analyze. So you are trying to get information and use it to mean something from many different sources. Okay, so we're going to be looking at specifically maps today, and you should be able to do that. And so that's going to be important for you to know in the future because you're going to have to use maps all the time. All right, it gets really difficult here as we start to really talk about and dig into latitude and longitude. So stick with me. This is not easy stuff, and you're really going to have to pay a lot of attention. But this is hopefully going to help you understand it a little bit more. So I'm going to start off by showing you that 0 degrees latitude is the equator. All right, and so I drew that in there. I drew in 0 degrees latitude. And the way that latitude works, flat, right? Latitude are all these invisible lines that run flat across in the same way that the equator does. So of course mine aren't perfectly flat, but I'm doing the best that I can. All right, so these lines move all the way across. Now you would think since they go from west to east that they would be measured that way, but they're not actually. They're measured in distance from the equator. Okay, and so if we look at this distance and we pretend like that distance is 30 degrees, okay, then we're going to see that this line is actually called, the name of the line is 30 degrees north because you're going 30 degrees north. You're starting here at the equator and you're going up 30 degrees. So you go from 0 up to 30. All right. Now, that's kind of obvious. As you go up, you get the number goes up, right? But the tricky part is when you get down south of the equator, right? When you get down south of the equator, you start here, and let's say again that this is 30 degrees. Okay, so you would almost think, well, is that negative 30? Well, that's not quite how it works. Instead of negative 30, you're still moving 30 degrees. It's still the same distance, but you're moving south this time. Okay, and so this line is actually called 30 degrees south. All right, and so that is how latitude is measured. And then if we look, I'm going to go ahead and erase this. You're welcome to pause it and look at it and rewatch it and understand this a little more, but I'm going to erase it now. Okay, if we look at 0 degrees longitude, longitude goes up and down. I think of it by saying the long way. There's other ways to think of it too, but that's how I think of it. And so longitude is going up and down, and there's many longitude lines, and so I'll draw some in here the best that I can. Okay, drawing them in, and that's what longitude looks like. And again, you're measuring the distance from 0. All right, and so let's do the way that makes sense. If you are going east, then we're seeing, we start right here, and we're moving east to here, and let's say that is 20 degrees, okay? And so then this line would be called, this one right here would be called 20, oops, that's a 3, 20 degrees east, okay? Because you're moving 20 degrees to the east. Now again, if we move the other way, you're thinking, oh, we should go negative. That's not how it works on this, okay? Instead, you're still going 20 degrees, so it can't be negative, but instead of going east, you are going west, okay? So that's 20 degrees west, all right? And so that's how you measure longitude, all right? And again, feel free to look into it, check it out, pause the video, whatever you need to do. All right, but I'm going to erase it now. Okay, and so now if we look at, and I draw in all two lines, sorry, the prime meridian and the equator, both zeros, now we can see that we have a coordinate plane. All right, you guys have done graphing on a coordinate plane for math, I'm sure, before, okay? And you know that up in this quadrant, you have a positive number and another positive number. Down in this quadrant, you're moving to the right, so you have a positive number, and then you're moving down, so you have a negative number. In this quadrant, you are moving to the left, that's negative, and you're moving down, that's negative. Okay, and in this quadrant, you are moving to the left, that's negative, and then you are moving up, that is positive. All right, and so instead of positive and negative, we know that these are east and west and north and south. And so if we think moving to the right is moving to the east, and so we look here and we know that everything on this side of the map is going to be east, all right, because you're always moving east from that prime meridian, okay? And then if we look over at these ones, then you're moving down from the equator, and so everything is going to be south for this second one. All right, and then if we look up here on the top ones, we know for the second one everything is going to be north because you are moving up. All right, and then we go over to this side and we see that everything on the longitude, we're moving to the west, so these are going to be west. Okay, and so all latitudes I'll do it in a couple of different colors here, all latitudes over in this whole area, every latitude is going to be north and every longitude is going to be west. Okay, in this whole area, every latitude is going to be north and every longitude is going to be east. All right, in this whole area, every latitude is going to be south and every longitude is going to be east. All right, and then in this whole area, every latitude is going to be south and every longitude is going to be west. All right, again, you can snapshot this, you can pause it, you can do whatever, but I am going to erase so that I can show you one more thing. Okay, the other thing that I'm going to show you is how we always write latitude and longitude, okay? And I'm just going to do it on top of the map because I'm going to use it almost like a whiteboard, all right? But you always write the latitude first and the longitude second, and you always have to write the degree symbol, okay? So whatever number you have, let's say we have 12 degrees north, all right? You are always going to you'll write the 12, you will always write the degree symbol, and then we know it's north, so we will write N. And then we'll do a comma, and then let's say it's 35 degrees east, okay? 35 degrees east. So the one that is north or south always goes first. The one that is east or west always goes second. Make sure you have the right one. Make sure that you always have that degree symbol. Do not flip these around and do not forget the degree symbol, or I have to count it wrong, because if you flip these around, if we look right here, so I'll do like a big purple dot where 12 degrees north and 35 degrees east is. We'll make a just kind of a guess here. Okay, if we go up a little bit from the equator, it's 12 degrees. Okay, and then we move over 35 degrees east, so we're looking at like Ethiopia. Okay, so we're in Ethiopia, and that's where I want you to end up. and that's why I'm giving you these coordinates. But if you flip it around and you put 35 first and 12 second, then instead of that, we're looking at, 35 way up here, okay, and then 12 over here. So we're in like Germany. That is a big, big difference. All right, you're sending them over there. And if you write, you know, 12 north and 35 west by accident, I'll do a yellow dot there. That's going to be out here in the middle of the ocean. All right, you are way, way off. Okay, and so you have to make sure, since you're trying to get someone to a location safely, you need to make sure that you are showing or doing the numbers correctly. Make sure you are getting your degrees correct, and make sure you are getting your letters correct. Now, because we're going to be estimating a lot with this, when you write them down, as long as they're within a few degrees, 2 or 3 degrees of what they're supposed to be, then you will be just fine on the numbers. So it is kind of an estimate, but you do have to make sure you have the degree symbol and make sure you have the direction correct, and then you should be just fine. I know it seems really difficult, but once you start doing it, you'll learn. And on the next slide, we'll start working on it. All right, this is a map of the United States of America, and it shows some of the major cities in the United States. And what I really want to point out here is that while it says Chicago right here, okay, and the words are here, that the words are in Iowa, and Chicago's in Illinois all the way on the corner. And so what you need to understand is that where Chicago is actually the dot that is next to it, right? And Philadelphia is this dot, all right? New York City is this dot. Houston is this dot. All right, they are not necessarily where the words are. Instead, the location of the city is where the dot is. All right, and if we look at this and we don't have our grid and we don't have any numbers or longitude or latitude, it can be really hard to explain to somebody where Phoenix is and ask them to put it on a map, right? If you're telling them, oh, it's in Arizona, but they don't know where Arizona is, and it's in this part of Arizona, that it gets really, really difficult to explain it to somebody. But if you have latitude and longitude, if you have that grid set up, then you can tell them exactly where it is on the map, and they can use the grid to put that city in the exact right spot. And so you can see kind of how important it is to have latitude and longitude. Okay, on this slide, we're going to be doing latitude and longitude practice. This is all in the United States. And so you are going to notice that everything, all of the degrees are north for the latitude, and then the longitude are all west. Okay, and what you're going to notice also is as you go up, the latitude numbers go up. But as you go to the left, the longitude numbers go up. So that's a little bit opposite of what we normally think on like a number line. So it can get really, really tricky. So be careful to make sure you understand what these numbers are and what it means to be between these. Because between these, some people might think, oh, here's 80, and then we move to the right a little bit, so this line must be 85. But it's halfway between 70 and 80, so it's actually 75. All right, and so I'm gonna get rid of that. And the way that we're gonna do this is I am going to go over a type of problem. I'm gonna do it twice, all right? And then after I do it 2 times, just showing you and giving you the answer, I'm going to do it one more time where I pause so that you can pause the video, practice it yourself, and then I'll give you the answer and you can see if you got the same thing. And I'm going to do that 2 different times in 2 different ways. And then at the end, I'm going to leave you with a few different problems that you'll do on your own as part of your grade for today. Okay, so we'll start off, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put down the question that we have to figure out what city is at 33 degrees north, 112 degrees west. Okay, so I know those coordinates, and so now I need to find the city. that it belongs to. All right, and the way that you do this, the best way to do this, and I hope you guys take this advice and do it many, many times. I'm going to take a red pen here, and I am going to find 33 degrees north. So here's 30 degrees north, here's 40 degrees north. I have to guess 33 is probably right about here. All right, and so I'm going to take 33 degrees north, and I'm going to draw that line all the way across. So it looks like I really have two options that are kind of close to 33 degrees north. My answer might end up being Phoenix, and it might end up being Raleigh. All right, the only way to figure out which one it probably is to do the other line, which is 112 degrees west. Okay, so I got to look at 112. I know it's bigger than 110, but it's smaller than 120, and so I know that my 112 is going to be somewhere around here because it's two more than 110, and I go up and I look at, oh, where did my two lines cross? Now, I didn't do perfect because I don't have a ruler, but it's close enough that you can tell that my answer is going to be Phoenix. Okay, and so that's how you figure it out. So 33 degrees north, 112 degrees west. What city is it? It is Phoenix, Arizona. All right, and so let's go ahead and do the next one. The next one, let's say, is at, let's go 45 degrees north and 122 degrees west. Okay, this time since I wrote in red, I'll use purple for the second part. All right, and I need to find 45 degrees north first. All right, so I have 40 here, I have 50 here. It's halfway between those. So I got to do this line all the way across, and it looks like it might be Fargo, it might be Niagara Falls, it might be Portland. Okay, it could be any of these at this moment. We're not sure because my line is not going to be in the perfect spot. All right, so we have to do the other one. We have to do 122 degrees west. All right, so we look, here's 110, here's 120. Oh, I don't see 130, but I know that if these lines are about this far apart, then the next two probably are about the same far apart. Okay, and so I know that I have to go past my last number and I have to get to 122. And so if I have 122, I make this line up. Oh, looks like they lined up pretty good. And my answer is Portland. Okay, that looks pretty good. So we figured out two of them. Now for this one, remember, I'm going to start off by giving you the question and writing it down. And then I'm going to pause for a second so that you can do the work yourself and try and figure out what the answer is. And then when I'm done with that, I'll go through it again and show it to you. All right, and so the next one I want to do is, let's call it, this is one that you're going to do on your paper right now in practice. Okay, this is 44 degrees north and 78 degrees west. Okay, and I'm going to pause for a second so you can pause the thing or the video and try and figure out before I move on. I'll wait 5 seconds and then I'll solve it. Okay, getting my red marker out again. Hopefully you guys, I'm sure you all got the right answer. I'm really excited that you were able to get in there and get it figured out. Okay, but again, 44 degrees north. We see 40 here. We see 50 here. We got to go somewhere in the middle. Okay, so it could be any of these. It could be Portland, could be Fargo, might even be Lincoln, might be Niagara Falls, might be Boston. Okay, and so we're looking there, and then we have to figure out, all right, 78 degrees west. All right, here's 70, here's 80, so it must be pretty close to 80. All right, so I'm going to go up. 78 degrees west, looks like they cross right about here, which is definitely closest to Niagara Falls. So if you got Niagara Falls, then you got the right answer and you did an excellent job. All right, so good job, guys. And now I'm going to move on to, I'll wait a second. And now I'm going to erase it, and I'm going to move on to the other type of question that I can ask with this same exact map. All right, so the other type of question that I can ask is I can ask for you to give me the latitude and the longitude of a city. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to say, please give me the latitude and the longitude of Miami. Okay. And if I ask you to do that, what you need to do is first you need to locate Miami. Okay, I found it. It's right here. Okay, here's my dot. And so now I'm looking to figure out what the latitude and longitude are. And I remember it's always got to be latitude first. So it always has to be the flat ones first. And it looks like the flat ones are north here. And so I have to figure out what is the north number that I'm looking for. So I try and follow this number the best I can over here. Okay, and I see that it's, I don't know, maybe halfway down from 30. And so if it's halfway down from 30, we're going 30. And then we're going about 5 down because each of these intervals is 10. And we're seeing ourselves at about 25. What am I doing wrong? I know some of you are screaming it at the screen right now. Okay, don't forget the degrees sign. Don't forget to tell me if it's north or south, or we'll end up in the wrong half of Earth. Okay, so 25 degrees north, and then I got to figure out the longitude, the up and down lines. All right, this one's pretty easy because it's touching a line. Okay, and so the answer is, of course, 80 degrees west. So your answer for Miami is 25 degrees north and 80 degrees west. Okay, now we'll erase that and we'll do one more where I give you the answer right away. Okay, if I want you to tell me the latitude and longitude of Boston, Massachusetts, first thing I have to do is find Boston. Boston's right here. Okay, and then I have to figure out what the latitude is. Okay, so I'm going to draw this line best I can following the right curve, and I'm going to put it right here. And I see 40 down here, I see 50 up here, so I'm going to guess it's about 43. Okay, so 43. Again, if you have like 42 all the way up to 45, I'm probably going to accept it here because it's an estimate, right? Okay, but if we do 43, don't forget, Mr. Danker, we need that degrees, and then we need that north, otherwise we're going to end up in the wrong part of the world, and then comma, and we're going down from here to figure out our longitude, and that puts us a little bit over 70, but not quite to 80, so we're going to call that 71 degrees west. And so your answer is 43 degrees north, 71 degrees west. All right, and so now I am going to challenge you guys to finish up a couple that I'm actually going to have you put your answer into the discussion. Okay, and so you can write this down if you have a piece of paper, or you can screenshot it for yourself so that you know exactly what to do straight into the discussion. But you need to figure out these 4 problems. Okay, so number 1, you need to figure out what city I am talking about. If I am saying it is at 41 degrees north and 97 degrees west. You also need to figure out what city I am talking about. If I am saying that it is at 29 degrees north and 95 degrees west. Then for number 3 on the online discussion, you are going to have to just tell me, you'll have to tell me in the correct form, so degrees north and degrees west, what is the latitude and longitude of Raleigh, Raleigh, And again, you may not have the same answer as everybody else when you finally post your thread, but that doesn't mean you're wrong. It's an estimate. Okay, and then for number 4, I would like you to find the latitude and longitude of Fargo. And that will be in your online discussion. So at this point, I recommend pausing it, writing it down, trying to figure all of these things out, and then maybe also screenshotting it if you don't have a piece of paper to write it down right now. Okay, so I'm going to wait like 5 seconds so you have time to pause it and have that way you can use this map and you can use the questions that are on the bottom. Okay, I'm going to move on to our last slide. All right, this will be a much quicker slide. I just want to show you the difference on the other side of the world. As you can see, when we're in the southern hemisphere and the eastern hemisphere, we are seeing that the numbers act differently, okay? So the numbers up and down, these longitude numbers are going up as you move to the right. 120, 130, 140, 150, 160, 170, 180, as opposed to in America where they go the exact opposite direction and they say west on them instead of east, right? Okay, and so I'll erase that, and then you'll also see that it's in the southern hemisphere too, so as you go down, these numbers for these go up. So we have 10, 20, 30, 40, going in that direction. All right, and so it works a little bit differently, but it's the same exact concept. You just have to pay attention to what those numbers are doing, what direction they're going as you're moving down, up, east, west, wherever you're moving. Okay, and so I'll clear this and then I'll do one of each type. I won't ask you any questions on this one, but I do want to show you the difference, okay? So if I say first off, what town can we find? And again, you can pause this and test yourself because this is going to be the harder part, okay? But what town would you find at 40? No, I'm going to skip that. Okay, I want to switch to a different town, sorry. What town would you find at 32 degrees south and 142 degrees east? Okay, so we got to figure out first 32 degrees south. Right here, 32 degrees south, and so we see 30 here, we see 40 here, we know 32 must be in here. So if I draw this line, I'm kind of in the right area. It could be right here, it could be Broken Hill, it could be Sydney, could be Kingston maybe if I made a mistake. You know, it's right in that area, okay? But then I have to find 142 east, okay? So I'm looking at, here's 140, here's 150, 142 must be in here. And so the answer for this one is, of course, Broken Hill. I didn't really give you time to pause, but hopefully you did if you wanted to figure it out yourself. Okay, same thing on this next one. Pause right away when I give the question if you want to try and figure it out yourself. All right, the other thing that I'll do the other way, we need to find the latitude and longitude of, let's go with Darwin, which we see Darwin right here. Okay, I'll take a second if you want to pause so you can practice it yourself. Go ahead and do that now. All right, so let's figure out the answer. I'll switch to purple, and then we have to figure out, remember, the latitude first. And so we got to figure out where is it. There's that red dot. Okay, got to move over here and figure out here's 10, here's 20. So I'm going to go ahead and say that that is about 12 degrees south, because as you go down, the number goes up. And so we started at 10, move up about 2. 12 degrees south. Don't forget the degrees south. You'll end up on the wrong side of the world. All right, and then we have to go the other way and find out the east. And so we look up 130 east right here, 140 east right here. It must be about, I'm going to say 131 degrees east. Okay, remember the degree sign, remember the east, or you'll end up on the wrong side of the world. So those are your answers, and now you can see how it's a little bit different on or in the or on the other side of the world.